さあさあ、まだ幕は開けたばかりだよ僕。嘘だけどね。
I've been that piece, don't test me. Only I dream, no friendlies. All of my G's unfriendly. None of my fees want ending. Sheesh.
1, 2, 3. Yo, what's good? What's good? My name is mewmuse, and I'm back to play more BioShock. That dope little game about me being a sleeper cell the entire time. And it's funny how such an old game is coming in so handy with everything that's going on in the world, from scientists, from energy weapons, from sleeper cells, from plane crashes, from giant energy towers to underground bases, to Illuminati, to saving little girls, to people going missing, people going mad, to big daddies. I'm sure I'll find Trump in here somewhere, maybe even Kanye West. Who knows? But we're going to continue where we left off, realizing that the game is in fact longer than I thought it was, and I was not at the end, the last parts. Hopefully you've been good. I usually don't feel like recording so often, but I have so many notes, dude. I got so many notes, dude. I haven't written this many notes since I was in school, and I didn't even really do it when I was in college. I was one of those students when I would go to class I would take like serious notes for the first maybe week, maybe 2 weeks. And then when I realized that I'm either going to fail the class, or I just don't need to fucking take any notes, then my notebook that I spent hard money on, or the school's money, depending, just useless. Just a doodle machine. And that was how I took notes for most of my school career, and that's probably why I don't have a job right now. But we're not going to think about that. What the fuck was that? Fontaine's influence has lowered your maximum health. I'm just going to let him kill me because I'm not dealing with this. Where was that camera? I have so many notes on government shit though. And I also have a soda and cookies, so I'm like in a pretty good spot. I might not have a job, and life could be over before I know it. Hopefully not. God willing, I live forever. But that is invulnerable and invincible and immortal. But it's not bad right now, dude. I feel like that Bagel Bites kid or the Hot Pocket kid or whatever the fuck he had in the fucking oven. Pizza rolls kid, whatever. Well, it's pretty good right now. Exactly how I feel. No thank you. Muchas gracias. Why do I forget how to play games every time I start it? Why you got a cat mask on? I'm gonna kill you for sure. Oops, wasting that. Alright, where am I going? What am I supposed to do? Search Su Chong's apartment. That's where I came from, I guess. I have one buckshot. What I'm trying to do right now is just collect things because I don't have enough ammo or anything. And then we'll get on to what I want to talk about. What is this? Grab it. Take that. Whoa, dude. Oh my god, I did that in my last fucking playthrough. Just fucking bought shit I don't need. I've done that 4 times. Yeah, let me get Incinerate too. May as fucking well. Come over here, Rabbit Mance. Wow. Yo, this game is so impressive. I still can't get over how good this game is. I'm like a little daunted by how many notes I have. I haven't written this many notes. I don't know where to start, but it's all about the government. Holy shit. Is there a point to me healing? They really decided to up the fucking difficulty curve, didn't they, on this? It's just a whole bunch of bullshit now. At this point, and this motherfucker still knows that he should jump in that water. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, dude. Get back here. No. Oh, they can heal too? What a great game. Hello, Mary. What's with the sourpuss? How are you doing? You didn't know that I could do a slight Irish accent, did you? Hello, Mary. Why the long face? Or something. I'm not really trying, but it wouldn't be much better even if I was trying. Don't get hit. Can I grab that back? Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know I could do that either. I did not know I could do most of this shit. I'm sitting in like a weird position, dude. I'm all zoned out. I got my cookies over here. I'm fucked up. Let me get my fucking notepad. Okay, where are we? I wrote so much shit down, dude. I don't even know where to fucking start. This look like I'm drawing a manifesto. I gotta fucking burn this page after this. This is some insane person shit right here. I wonder how many other people do this. Dun 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 dun. I got like random shit written down. AI isn't impressive. Good luck. Oh, that was from Airdice. Wizard of Oz, Power of Persuasion. Bum. Okay. I don't know. I'm just gonna riff. I have my little notepad, and right now it's serving as a platform for my hands to rest on, which is pretty cool. I'm probably the most excited about that part. But I'll riff and I'll see. Jesus. Get in the machine. Yeah, man. Big investments. But I'll see where I can go with it. If I could get into this train. Whatever strikes my fancy. But I was watching more videos today. After this, I might do 2 parts. Because maybe I'll start getting on a roll. And I won't be able to handle it in 1 part. But after this part, I'm probably just going to cool out on that shit. It's fun, but I mean, it's enough already. And I'm listening to more of like the scientist stuff. And David Wilcock talking about he wouldn't kill himself with suicide. And basically all the scientists going missing and them being whistleblowers. I'll take that. I'll take that. And the weird, how they all kind of like shared a subject that they were into, and the strange ways that they died. David Wilcox wasn't the only one who died, but his friend also died, and his biographer died right before that. Oh my god. And just all the strangeness involving these scientists. And it is weird, but it only, oh damn, that was actually pretty good. It only made me feel like they really don't know what they're doing in the science department whatsoever, and maybe that's me being disrespectful to scientists, but I still don't think they know what the fuck they're doing. And you might be like, yo, well, mewmuse, why would all these strange things be happening to all of these scientist people if they don't know what they're doing? And my answer to you, friend, is I don't fucking know. Oh my god. I'm gonna die again because of these robots are the worst. Yep, there it is. I have to kill that thing first off. Oh my god. Let me get my electric thing out. But I guess the topic of this video is going to be psychological warfare, and I'm going to try and get into that a little bit. I think first off, you have to be very wary of when something becomes a topic of conversation. And I know that we're like stuck in this pattern of, well, we have to talk about it at some point. Like, we can't just ignore it and be like, oh, it's misdirection, and then look somewhere else, or just completely ignore it and act like it doesn't matter, because it does matter. People died, which is fine. It's good to talk about these types of things, and it's good to explore these types of things. But I don't think the scientist missing is necessarily important for right now. Right now is when we're talking about it. But as I learn more information, it seems like most of them went missing a couple years back. And to start talking about it now, although we're just catching on to it, I feel like we should gloss over it, and then we should keep it, in the glove compartment. But I don't think it's like terribly important to anything that's happening right now. I think, you would want to keep like a it's like just a little something to have there, and then maybe put together with something later. It is pretty fucking provocative, though, that all these people are missing for something so fancy. But that's also another thing. How provocative? No. How sexy it sounds is also another thing that's kind of like a flag to me. I also don't trust things when they sound super sexy. I might just be an untrusting person, but I'm in the kill him, Big Daddy. I'm in the camp that thinks that they don't know what the fuck they're doing with the sciences. I don't really think they do. They might want me to believe they do, but the government is always lying when it comes to that type of shit. They tell you that they're on like fucking 90, and really they're sitting at like a cool 55 or 60. They might have some impressive stuff, but they're always telling you they got more than they got. Because you're not going to trick your enemy if you tell them what they have. Why are you throwing things? Oh my god, that was killed by my own thing. It was like a scorpion finishing move. Or a scorpion Hadouken, whatever. I don't know. But I think the way we're going about this whole thing, as far as getting together as a team and trying to figure out what's going on, I think we're doing it totally fucking wrong. I think the scientist thing is definitely not the thing you want to fucking work on. And I'll see if I can get through on my notes. I don't even know if I wrote anything down about scientists. This shit is so fucking confusing to me, bro. I don't know how to write proper notes. I just wrote it all down like next to each other. So it's gonna sound like a fucking messy ass just rant. And I'm gonna try and remember what I talked about yesterday, and I'm gonna fail to remember what I talked about yesterday. But I'm looking at these videos and it's either all about scientists or it's about my algorithm is fucked up. Like, seriously now. It's about the scientists going missing, or it's about Trump and the assassination, people trying to figure out whether it's fake or not, or it's about AI and it either going absolutely nowhere or it's about to end the world. Dude, these extremes that I have right now on my timeline, and I'm pretty sure I have an understanding of how my algorithm works personally, which is totally different, but also a little bit of the political algorithm and how that works. Like when you watch, if you, God forbid, you watch 3 videos, that shit just loses its mind. That's all you see. But I'm pretty sure the political algorithm is the same for everybody. I'm dead. So it's safe to assume that these are the things that are being talked about the most, probably. And I think all of these things, for the adventurers who really want to know what's going on and level up, I think you're definitely, if you're talking about any of these things, you are playing the game wrong. And you're playing their game instead of the game. You don't want to be playing their game, you want to be playing the game. And so I think as a people, we don't know shit about psychological warfare like we think we do. Like right now, it's you know, just like you eat a candy bar and you know the candy bar's not good, motherfucker, but you like candy bars and you get that quick little chocolatey hit of sugar and you're just like, ooh, you get that sugar rush. I get that way when I eat a Reese's or a Three Musketeers. That shit is fire. I'm like, damn, I'm living, or this cookie right here, I'm living my best life. This cookie is fire. I'm digging it. I'm in a good mood because of it. I think that's what it is when discussing all of this type of shit. And you always got to remember that you either don't know what you don't know, or you should know that you know a lot less than the motherfucking body that's working against you. You're one person thinking you're a group with a bunch of other one persons. This is literally a bunch of persons as one person. It couldn't be more unfair against you. But when you're looking at this Trump conference and then you're like, well, he did it? Did he not do it? You're already losing. I mean, you're going through, and I'm hearing people bring up a lot of like really smart shit that I haven't personally tried to figure out. I don't care. Sometimes I'll try and do that, but I'll do that with like stupid shit that's even worse for you. That like doesn't help anyone at all. It just holds me back because I'm an idiot like that. But for all these people going through, and then like at this conference dinner, they're like, yo, well, is it real? Is it not real? And they're analyzing the video and they're trying to really figure out what's going on. One, it's possible that it isn't real and they're doing these things on purpose. And 2, it's possible that it is real and you're wasting your time. I think the one thing that we can agree on in this whole psychological event, I'm dead again, is that what I talked about in the last video. It's not so much that you're gonna figure out something and you're getting closer to anything, but it's more they're figuring out how smart you are getting and how much you know, because you're still talking about this stuff for the most part on their platforms, and then they're gonna go and they probably have keywords and stuff like that. It's always a lot more mundane than you think it is, because we're imaginative people and they know that. It's always about psychology. It's always about the rules of warfare. Psychological warfare is the same exact thing, and it's always gonna trail back to the same old shit that, I mean, has been true since we started fighting against each other. I didn't touch you, bitch, but I'm about to shoot this bolt through your neck. And oh my god. And I don't think it's so much about these events being a conspiracy in the way we think, where there's something big happening. I think it's a pooling of information that will eventually keep you locked in. I'm looking online and there's people way fucking smarter than me, and way more educated than me. But it seems like when I think about it, they're playing more checkers instead of chess, and that the government is always playing these chess moves. I mean, it's much more productive. Okay, what's the benefit to all of these things happening? Like, people don't really... There's one thing that a single person or a group of people who are talking online aren't ever going to know for sure, unless they joined a company that specialized in this, like data analysts, where it's death rate. You know, you look at like the average lifespan, which in my personal opinion is dropping. It's not getting higher. I think it is actually dropping a little bit, of course, because we're not having a war or anything. And, you know, I think you can't compare death rates to years in like 5-year spans before or after. Well, maybe not before. I don't think you can... Average death rate when there's a war doesn't really fucking count, is what I'm trying to say. But people don't know how many people die and how close they are together. Do you know what you don't know? The government knows all of these things. They specialize in data. So they know how many people kill themselves. They know how close people are who kill themselves. They know on average about how likely that is to happen. They know how many people disappear and go vanish, boom, into the night. They know how many people have cancer. They know how frequently people have cancer in the same families, in the same group of friends. They have statistics for these things. And I think all of these statistics are being used against people who are like looking into this shit. And then, you know, we're thinking that we're getting our Sherlock Holmes on, when it's a very simple equation for them because they've been collecting data for so goddamn long. Wow! So, I think that's one of the big plays is, yeah, you can't kill me when I'm like this. It's trying to figure out how smart people are getting. And because you're talking about it online, where you know that you're being listened to more so than in real life, you're welcome, baby girl. Just remember, when you grow up, you're gonna work for me, like all my baby. And you know, we're kind of just like doing exactly what they want. They're getting information on us, and then they're always gonna be one step ahead, regardless of how smart the people think they're getting. And my notes are starting to become a little bit more concise. And I think that it's simple psychological steps like this. Like if you go off some Alex Jones type of shit, I don't think everything's a false flag. I don't think everything's a psyop. I mean, it could be. I don't fucking know. I'm never going to know. There's something to be had in discussing things, but then there's also something to be said about getting something out of it. Like, I don't mind discussing anything for a little bit, but if I end up discussing the same thing in like a slightly different form for too long and I'm not seeing a return, at the end of the day, you can deal with information the same way you can deal with business. Like, am I actually getting anything from this that I can profit off of, or am I just discussing it because I feel some type of way about it? And that's what this whole thing is with the government and people. I feel like people are, you know, acting like it's a little bit too much revolution or too much of a game or something. Is this another one, bro? And you know, you're not gonna get to where you want. Canned tomatoes. Where's this guy at? And I think people are getting stuck on this whole... Oh. Oh. Hey, listen.
I knew there was something to that. Always secret when we switch on, always. He must have this lot 192 in his lab near Apollo Square. I once saw a dog brought it up to my flat on the floor, but those days should have taken it back to something like there. And I knew what lot 192 was for, but
Love 192 is for you, baby, obviously. Alright, go get to lot 192. Where the fuck is this guy? Oh my god, I'm killing myself. I think people are too stuck on this idea of revolution. Like, I keep hearing shift and revolution, and I mean, it's cool, like, I understand it, but you also have to understand that it's war. Like, this type of shit is, I don't know what you're thinking is gonna happen. Because if there's a population of people, while they're talking revolution, the people that they plan on revolting against, it's war right now. Like, you keep saying shift and revolution like you gotta get ready for something. You should be ready right now. And I'm not saying flood the streets and, you know, start killing people and, like, burning everything down and fucking ransoming and abducting things, but, like, as far as gathering information and executing on idea and action and information and utilizing that information and that type of shit, it's war right now. They're doing that right now. They're doing that right now, and they're already planning 3 moves ahead. And they're not only planning 3 moves ahead, they're also planning 5 other fucking things at the same time. But we're, like, still gathering information, like the revolution's on the way. Well, if you know they want to keep power and you are waiting, you're like, everything is about to pop. If they want to keep power and you're waiting for something to pop, then what the fuck do you think is going to happen? That's one of the most important parts. Everybody is making this like super fucking complicated. And it's not that complicated, dude. War does not change. Like I was saying last video, the psychology of humans does not change that much. We don't grow that fast. I wish we would grow that fast, but we don't. So most of the war tactics that people are like on, same type of shit. You just gotta dumb it down. Once you learn how to think complicated, you gotta dumb it back down. Keep it simple, stupid. So my teachers used to always tell me. I'm gonna try and so I'm gonna try and take some complicated things for us psychologically, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and break them down in a more simplistic way of how psychological warfare, in my opinion, of not having any experience with it, should be conducted using only my limited amount of psychological expertise, having not researched anything or gone to school for any of this to be regarded as fact. So alright, I might take a second right here just so I can try and get into the fucking mood. Okay, so like for psyops, the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is something that we have been going back and forth on like endlessly. And then, I mean, smart people say you're stupid. Obviously, you're misremembering. And then, I guess the stupid people, even though they're not really stupid, they would say, no, I'm not misremembering, dog. I'm being lied to. And we keep worrying about the information itself when we already have all the information we need as far as something like that is concerned. And the information that we needed to make it profitable to us is that we have written proof in most countries that matter that at one point or another, how to control populations has been studied. And we also have physical proof of governments following through on population control with a wide variety of different types of governments and leaders. So we know that they do this, and we know that it will happen again. And our whole gripe is it happening to us, and at what frequency? But we know that both things are true. We know that it's happening, and we know that it is operating at some sort of level, which most likely goes up and down depending on the state of the country. But we're worried about the information itself, and every time a new example comes up, we worry about that example. I think it's ramped down because to me that was one of the big psyops. Because they achieved something. And it all seems to be kind of like a sussing of where a population is, what they're susceptible to, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and what they will do in certain situations, what they'll fall for, how well they get together. Like, all of these things come into play when you start actually planning out psyops, and I don't think people take enough time to try and put themselves in the shoes of the government or Republicans or Democrats or whatever. It's all old school warfare tactics. Like, if you want to be taken seriously, you got to think about more than just your feelings on how something is. You can't not ever think from the perspective of the thing you're trying to beat. That's not how chess works. I mean, that's not how a lot of shit works that's considered like confrontational, especially seriously. And so, I mean, the only thing you really want to do is you want to I'm gonna take Jay. Shoot, man. You want to ask yourself, what could they possibly get out of it? Not just if they're lying or not. Like, who gives a fuck if they're lying or not? What are they gonna get from it? Because if I know they're lying, what the fuck? Oh my god, what the fuck are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? You gonna do something big? You got a big move planned on me? Oh, you gonna just walk up to the Oval Office and you're gonna be like, haha, gotcha, man. The fuck are you gonna do if you end up being right? You ain't finna do shit about it. Like, why go back and forth? And I like to do it. That's part of it. It's one of my interests. And if something is your interest, then it can be used against you. That's another part of it. I like women. Women could be used against me. At one point, I liked drugs. You could have used drugs against me. You like betting? I could use betting against you. These are things that take out people on the tippity top because they're all natural human things to enjoy. So this shit is no different. But you gotta think about what they're getting out of it. So what I believe they're getting out of it, aside from information, is something they've been doing out in a whole bunch of ways, which is slowly conditioning and molding human beings' perspectives through what I just said, and a slight division. Of course, division always helps. Divide and conquer is one of the things we're used to hearing all the time. And we can look at the circumstance and try and learn something from it. So what I've noticed, now I don't remember if this isn't my job. This is just what I'm doing for fun for a little bit. So, I mean, I'm not going to research everything to make sure that I'm as accurate as possible. I don't fucking give a fuck. You can take the information and do whatever the fuck you want with it. I don't really care. See, what was I saying? You can do whatever you want with the information. And then what I was going to say is, oh yeah, me looking at it personally myself, once I got out of the rabbit hole aspect where I couldn't see anything else except for what was happening, it seemed like with the Bernstein Bears, we remember it as I remember it as Bernstein. I'm on your side, homies. Like, I definitely remember it as being Bernstein and not Bernstein Bears. But that's not important. But what I noticed while happening with all this stuff, and I'm sorry I'm so redundant, is that there's always two like things at the same time. And then if I'm thinking about it from a perspective of I want to learn and I want to understand how to use informations, this is interesting because we know that things change according to distance and then how often it's passed down. You have a lot of mythology that isn't the same mythology anymore, either because the civilization was conquered and then the mythology was replaced and what would you call it, revamped, I guess, for lack of a better word, or while being passed down the story changed, like the telephone game you would play in school. This is like a school game. The more people that you have in line passing down information, the more fucked up the information becomes along the way. We did it in school, guys. We did it in school. So now, getting older, and when useless information is brought up, like what's the name of Bernstein Bears? I forgot most of my math, and math is important. I don't give a fuck about math, bro. I'll be sitting at the cashier, and then when it comes up, when the customer's like, yo, it's buy one get one 25% off, but there's only one, and I'm like, all right, well, you get half of that because there's only one. So half of 25, what is that? You're sitting at like 12.50, 12.5% off of 439. I always ask the customer, I say, do you know how to do this math? Because I don't. And they're usually like, nah, bro. I'm like, all right, let me get my calculator out. I still remember how to use a calculator a little bit. So I don't even remember my math, bro. There's no way I'm going to give a fuck about a Bernstein Bear. But I remember it as Bernstein Bears. So I think a good takeaway from that is the telephone game. Information gets screwed up along the way. Also, people have a tendency in America, which all this information is what the government knows that people don't ever think about. And it's these little things that you don't think about that the government would use against you. People don't pronounce things correctly, bro. Do you think that I'm gonna walk into a sub shop and when I'm having them make my delicious looking fucking sub, I'm gonna say, could you please put some mayonnaise on there? I am never in my life going to ask for mayonnaise, dude. I'm gonna say, let me get some mayonnaise on that bitch. And you could even put a little bit extra. Give me that mayonnaise. And this is the type of shit that makes the Mandela effect pop off, because it doesn't really matter how it was spelled. Motherfuckers in school could have been running around saying Bernstein because it sounds better. Bernstein doesn't come off of the tongue like Bernstein. And it's so close that you can barely read. You don't give a fuck, really. You only want to read because you want to finish Pokemon. Like, you don't care about reading Bernstein Bear. Well, Bernstein Bear's kind of fire. But you don't give a fuck about the name. And then also at the same time, there's usually there's two likes. And I think two likes is a big part of this whole equation. At the same time we were getting into Bernstein Bears as a family, we were also being told about Frankenstein a lot. There was a lot of Frankenstein books, cartoons, maybe not cartoons, but there was cereal and teachers would talk about like Mary Shelley in the Frankenstein book. Frankenstein was just like around because you had werewolves, you had vampires, you had Frankenstein. Scooby-Doo probably brought Frankenstein in. Like, I'm sure there was a couple things, if I were to go back and research, Frankenstein was popping up. And most of these Mandela effects most likely have two things in common that you could easily replace with one another, but you never thought about it. And then it could just be another thing for people to fight over. Like the Monopoly man not having a monocle, even though I remember him with a monocle. But the Planters Peanut guy having a monocle. It seems like there's two likes that always fall in lieu with each other when these types of things happen. And then at the end of the whole Mandela height, people just started making shit up. Like Luke, I am your father. Or is that what it was? It was Luke, I am your father. But the actual line was like, no, Luke. I don't know what the actual line was. But we shorten things. It's what we do. It's part of our language. It's part of how we speak to one another. Slang wouldn't exist if we didn't do this. This is a normal human habit. And so if you don't think about that from the scientific perspective, that's just gonna trip you up. It tripped me up. And then at some point I thought about it and I was like, that shit ain't that hard, bro. That shit is not that hard. But the best psyops are the ones that are deceptively simple. You can quote me on that, because I felt like I had a cool voice when I said that. I felt like Sean Connery or something. I have no way to take this motherfucker out, bro. I'm gonna napalm him. You gonna die! Oh, there goes Sean Connery voice into just some weirdo other voice. And then we have examples of this. COVID was most likely absolutely planned. It's hard to believe. I don't know about the Twin Towers, but I feel like COVID might have been one of those where they actually planned this motherfucking shit. And all this misinformation was coming out, bro. It's COVID that really started like our obsession with misinformation, and that is one thing that the government could get out of that. Before COVID, people weren't worried about misinformation like that. We weren't striking each other and, ganging up with each other at that, at the level that we went to. But what did COVID do? COVID started the whole misinformation craze. COVID also saw our behavior in these very life-changing possibilities, which actually could be a good thing. That's a net positive for everybody. See how we do in these types of situations. That's actually not that bad. Yeah, I may as well just walk through that. I don't fucking care. Oh my god. This motherfucker, bro. He's still alive too. I'm sure it killed a lot of mom and pop businesses and semi-centralized money, and how the money flows. It straight up deleted a ton of rivers that existed, and so now money is only flowing in certain parts in comparison. I'm sure it increased the profits on everything medical, especially mental health medicine and vaccinations. And these things come in handy. So the worst part about this is I feel like a lot of this stuff happening right now is twofold. It's very smartly put together, it can be used. Well, most things in life are twofold. I guess I'm not going to give them that much credit. But it can be used for space, because you would want to have a better understanding of vaccines and mental health medicine and how people deal in certain situations if you plan on going to space. Or you could use all this shit to just control population. Psychology is always like a double-edged sword. No, motherfucker, bro. I don't think we're going to space, though. I'm pretty sure we suck a whole lot of nothing good right now. And I don't think space is happening, regardless of what anyone tells me for the moment. But simple shit like this. I think it's like small things like this that are used against us the most. Just things that you wouldn't think about. You don't know death rates and how death works, and for an entire population, that's something that's hard to fucking figure out. It takes the government forever to figure that out. You think that we're just gonna get together and we bring a couple fucking cookies over to the spot and we're gonna drink some beers and fucking have this thing down? I don't fucking think so, dude. They spend a lot of money trying to get that information, and it takes them years on years on years. What else do I have on here, bro? I feel like the government always has something that they're looking to get out of whatever it is that they're doing, and I don't think people do that enough just in talking online. Like, they just want like maybe the camaraderie, or they're trying to figure it out, but there should be something you can pull from any of these types of situations. Not just like it's getting deeper, or it's getting wilder, it's getting weirder, but like actual something that you can apply elsewhere. Because I think when it all comes down to it, you usually hear the same thing over and over again, where it's like, well, what are we gonna do? We gotta break the simulation, and it's either we gotta take down these dudes at the top. Okay, cool, I understand that, good luck with that. Or it's like you gotta disconnect and you gotta go to nature. It's like, alright, cool, good luck. Or you gotta go off the grid completely. Or the best working one is like you gotta go in there and you gotta change it from the inside, man. You gotta fight them. And I'm fine with all of these things, but it's not gonna be like one swift move. The one thing that you want to continue doing is you want to continue progressing. And you also want to know how to apply information. How to apply information, yeah. So I think one of the biggest things right now that's happening is this understanding of language. Like we showed them we don't understand language very well with the Mandela effect. We just, even if it's obvious once we think about it, it's one of those things where you're like, you know what, dude, that makes perfect motherfucking sense. We just don't think about it that often. And I think it's, oh my fucking god, bro. And it's used against us. And it's been used against us a couple times, and we don't seem to wise up to it. And one thing that I was thinking about today when I was going through this and I was watching a couple videos, getting a whole bunch of different types of people's takes and opinions on it, is that the like mantras that we have are pretty damaging. As far as like once you get into like the conspiracy stuff, look at this starfish, that's pretty fucking tight. All the mantras that everybody has for each other right now, or did, it's not good. It's not what you want to have. because these people are, they're firing off on all cylinders. And if you want to play the game against them, which I don't, I'm going to be terribly upfront when I say that I don't. At the point I did when I was younger, and now I just don't give a fuck. I just don't want you to I don't want you to cause me any motherfucking problems, bro. Like, I'll take a fine, bitch. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get Tom Cruised. Like, I don't care how fine you are, you're not gonna Tom Cruise me. I might fucking play around, but as soon as you fucking come in here and something that affects my time or money, even though I'm broke, dude, I don't even have a job, but I still adopt that way of thinking, and I feel like I would do pretty decent in some spaces because of that. As soon as, you could be beautiful as hell, but as soon as my time or money is involved, I think about it a little bit harder. And as soon as you ask me to go somewhere or do something like that, then I think about it a little longer. But it's simple shit that people are saying as mantras that I think negatively impacts them. Because, like I was saying yesterday, with all of the Nazi propaganda and learning how the mind works and learning how language works and things like that, all of these things are happening at once. You can't assume that it's just one thing at a time. Why do you think in war you're just gonna get it's gonna be gentlemen's rules and you're all gonna have duels? Nah, happening, homie. These cookies are great. I'm trying to find what I wrote down, because I don't remember. Oh, okay, so the very first one that we know ended up being compromised, that started this whole mantra thing for people in particular groups. You remember when Anonymous came in as the radical hackers after everybody got into the Matrix and they said, question everything? I say it still. I don't say it seriously, but I say it. Question everything. And that was said repeatedly over and over and over again as a sign of rebellion. Question everything. And then we adopted it for ourselves and we followed through. They were making good points. In any sort of era, it's never going to be hard to get a population to dislike the government, because nobody's ever winning all the time, every day, on everything. Question everything, friends. And that's exactly what we did. And then we learned later that not all of Anonymous was on our side, if they were ever on our side. But we took their mantra. Question everything. And then the fantastic one that's still being said today. They have to tell you first. Question everything into they have to tell you first. I'm just going through the big ones. So, question everything. They have to tell you first. You can't make this up. You starting to see a pattern? Question everything. They have to tell you first. You can't make this up. I am suicidal, or I am not suicidal. That's the biggest one right now. People saying in droves, I am not suicidal. But as you've clearly seen, it doesn't matter if you say that or not. It hasn't affected a goddamn thing. People gotta think, what are you getting out of some of this stuff? I'm not here to be on your side, but I'll help you out a little bit. Because I'm just thinking, I'm doing my own thinking thing like you guys. What I want to get out of this is I took some notes, which I usually don't do. And then I want to see, you know, if I can have my thoughts be a little bit more cohesive. I'll tell you right out the door. And me telling you that right now, that's one of the reasons why I feel like if we were going toe to toe, just me and you in the street, maybe I might come out ahead as far as the psychology is concerned, especially if I decided to be sociable. Because I'm telling you what I want right now. This is all I want, and I'm just using this as a vehicle to get to it. Regardless of how important that information is or anything else, I might not tell you all that, but I mean, that's secondary. Anything else is secondary. I have a bottom line. I'm going to reach that bottom line best I can, and then this is just the way that I'm going to go about it. So we've been fed these lines of question everything, and then they have to tell you first, and you can't make this up, and I am not suicidal. Now, what do these things do for you to say these things? To be aware. That's good, but what are you being aware of? Being aware of what? Misdirection or manipulation or something like that? And then most people will probably, after we got to that point, most people will probably be like, yeah, I don't want to be manipulated. And it's like, well, guess what? Being manipulated isn't up to you. It's up to the manipulator. That's how manipulation works. That's how psychology works. We're all creatures of psychology. Being manipulated is all the power is pretty much in the manipulator's hands. And if you're just always in an idle state waiting to try and escape manipulation, you become easier to manipulate. Happens to me all the fucking time. In large ways and in small ways. It's just part of human psychology. So it's things like this that get nested into people's minds, and then really all it does is slow you down, because this is, once you gotta start thinking like it's a war. I'm not saying hurt anybody, of course, but you gotta think like it's a war, or you gotta think like it's a business. You only got two choices if you want to play a big boy game: war or business. You get a little bigger and they're one and the goddamn same. But that's the kind of thinking you would have to adopt.
Torn apart by Fontaine and his pigs. No doubt he had the samples of Lot 192 taken to his penthouse. Entrance is in lobby, but the death thing is always locked. You will not believe me, but there was a time when this place was also beautiful.
And I got turned on to something interesting today, where I was watching a video and it gave me like a refresher clip of all of these like overused mantras, or like not mantras, but these phrases that the people in power are using. And I have a couple of them, like the cognitive Wild West, and then synthetic media, and then you already epistemically surrendered. And just things that like Sam Altman and motherfucking Peter Thiel and then Elon Musk and all these guys have like echoed to each other, or not to each other. Ooh, no, she's fine. I fuck with her. But in interviews. And then so you think about that, and then once again we're listening to me right now. So going based off of how we've been behaving, the first thing you would assume is that if all of them are mimicking and parroting each other, there must be something going on. So there's two things that happen here when guys like this do this. One, because they've shown repetition and that they've been parroting each other, that means they've decided, or there's a couple things that happen, I guess, a few things. They've decided to work together. That's not, we already know they work together. That's how the world economy works. That's not much of a takeaway. So we don't have to worry about them working together. We should assume that already happens. And then the other thing we assume is that because they are parroting each other and because it is so unnatural, therefore there must be something bigger at play. An unnaturalness gives an uneasiness, and if we've already been conditioned to think in a certain direction, that's the first thing you would think of. There must be something bigger, otherwise why would they be doing this? Aside from sometimes it being their history showing that it's the personality of a lot of very powerful people to make these types of jokes, going all the way back to secret societies. Also, it could just be part of a business plan. And then it could be used against you in the way that you think it's going to be used against you. Just not for the effect that you're thinking. It's not because, oh my God, it's not because they have what you're thinking would be like a big conspiracy. Like, obviously these people do plan ahead, and some of them are mean people, some of them are okay people. New World Order is always something that's happening, but these types of people, they plan into the future, and it's not, this is too small of an event to immediately go to world control. World control is always the plan. It's never not going to be the plan. But this small event of them deciding to say the same statements and words in interviews in a short period of time is not a move that indicates that anything different is happening. These are still people at the end of the day who run real businesses, who have real other people of the same status that say, hey bitch, where the fuck is my money? You haven't been doing shit for the past 2 quarters. Would you like to not do what you're doing anymore? These people still struggle in meeting quarterly goals, depending on what's going on, because not all of them are going to agree with each other, and shit happens in the world, and it's definitely not one big fucking hug orgy. So them deciding to do this isn't really, you don't need to worry about it. But the most subtle part of this is when we're getting into communication and language and shit like this now as a team. How do I get into this fucking door? What does them saying these things like openly do for them just on a personal level? So to go through it again, it was something like cognitive Wild West, synthetic media, you already epistemically surrendered. I mean, they make it sound nice and flowery and embellished for you, but I mean, as soon as you look up the meaning, it's just typical shit. It literally, they told you the truth with these statements. That is what it is. And by them saying it, you're put at a level of distrust and uncertainty when they're giving you a straight fact. And instead of you taking solace in that, you are now uncertain. While they say it, and they take solace in the fact saying, things are a little hard right now, and this is just how it is. So you're holding yourself back at the same time. They are not in denial of what it is, and they are allowing themselves to move forward. That's just some shit you would hear in therapy. Like, that's exactly what a therapist would tell you to do. Like, hey, just call it how it is, and then, make the next move. And these people are always about the next move. So now you're thinking about what they're planning while they're already just going, all right, I got another meeting in 1 hour. I got to get across town. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is how many moves are you making and how successful are all these moves. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world, doesn't matter what area you're in. War is always going to be the same. It's just going to have different names and different tools. And psychology, sadly, I feel from humans will also most likely always be the same. That's pretty shitty But we can't do anything about that. Maybe at some point we will. I gotta Google this code. I wasn't listening. I just think people are making this way too complicated. You know what I'm saying? So, alright, the code is 1216. For a long time, I let psychology be my enemy. And I still fuck around. Like, I'm just like that. I don't know why I have problems with, like, you know, being masochistic to myself as far as just, like, saying, well, you know, this isn't good, but fuck it. Let me try it. Let me go down this rabbit hole. That's kind of fun. I learn from it, and I don't mind it. 1216. But all it is forward movement, baby girl. That's all you gotta know. Is it not 1216? How the fuck? As my mom likes to say, 1216. Don't wait for the street to turn green. Just go. Alright. Is it not 1216? What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Alright, maybe I typed in the wrong thing. Elevator code. $5744. Is it 5744? And my algorithm's getting kind of messy. I'm gonna have to take a break after this type of shit. I'm not gonna be able to keep doing it because, I mean, this shit is just like ridiculous. See, I'm one of those people, like, I should care about this stuff more, but I'm just like irritated. And that's the only reason I'm stopping, because I'm like done with it. I don't want to see it all the time.
This is you who are the victim. Will you stop here? Or will you deliver them from this terrible city at one point?
Alright, and then now I'm going to try and kill this guy first. Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna try and kill these guys and I'm gonna stop it here. I'm not gonna stop the video, but I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna give you an example. Okay. Okay. So, this is, give me that. Just like the Mandela effect, and just like COVID and getting people onto things like that, and just like you saying things or them saying things and having that either hold you down or confuse you into holding yourself down, I'm going to give you 2 examples of what I came up with that would do the same thing to you that a normal person isn't going to do. If the government does it, or if people of high status do it, there's a certain level of skill that is evolved where they will be like, this is a person to watch out for. They're pretty clever. They're pretty smart. And me just telling you like this, or me, if I were to say it in passing to someone who isn't into like conspiracy shit at all, they'd just be like, oh, look, this is a sociopath. I would immediately be like ostracized or isolated or whatever. But now that we're all into this, I feel like it's pretty cool to talk about. So if I wanted to control you, one of the best ways to do that, which has happened to me, it's happened to a lot of people, is to just point out something you didn't know about. You don't know what you don't know, and then when new information is offered to you, usually people have a predictable reaction to it, especially if you understand a little bit about that person. And sorry, hate to break it to you, after social media, I'm pretty sure they understand most people at this point. 'Cause you told them exactly who the fuck you were. 'Cause for some reason, we didn't go on social media to be whatever we wanted to be, 'cause we didn't want to be called weird. And that whole master manipulators thing and all the other buzz trigger words went off, cancel culture and all that shit. So people tried to be like their most honest selves. Or completely unhinged, but usually when something's brought up to you, and then you just throw in a little side piece, it can be used against you, even if it's not necessarily negative, which is why I would stress the point of what can you get from it and how can it be used against you, not in a grand conspiracy type of way, but let's break it down and bring it back down to earth, but in a day-to-day type of way. It's all about applied knowledge. It's not about all-encompassing solving riddles knowledge. It's about how can the knowledge be applied? How can it be useful to me? Or is it harmful to me? Let's think on like Socrates. Let's think on very simplified ways to use knowledge, and then slowly build a collection of that. And you can maybe tackle bigger things, or you'll be in a position to handle bigger things or have more influence over those things. So if I wanted to control a population, and me and you are talking, and I'm gonna sound, what is the ticking? Why is the ticking getting faster? It's kind of stressing me out. That, you could use that against somebody. Okay, let me do this. Okay, let me figure out what this ticking is first, bro, because I'm gonna lose my mind. This is fucking... Okay. Jesus. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, how to use information against people. And how can you deflect that or get away from it? Or maybe find a way to move around it or something like that. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. I'm just gonna let it kill me. Fuck it. And how compelling things can become, or how compelling someone can make something seem, and how easy it is for somebody to start a narrative, because it's really not that hard to start a narrative as long as it's compelling and it makes sense. That's another psyop, the whole flat earth thing. For a while, even with the stupidest thing possible, which I fell for a while, I'm fine with that. I like to keep my mind open to ideas, and I don't research anything, so I really have to learn through trial and error of just, looking like a fucking dumbass, and then, brushing the dirt off my fucking pants, and then getting back out there. But that was like probably the easiest thing to disprove. But because the argument was given in such a compelling way, and we weren't scientists, and we were starting to not believe in the system, it tricked more of us than it should have. So if I bring it down to, hey, Joe, I would like to control a population, and it's so very simple to do it. It's not. Oh my god, dude. Oh, kill me again. And you'd be like, yeah, really, mewmuse, how are you gonna control the population? You think you're such a like fancy guy? And I'd be like, yeah, I am fancy. All you have to do to control a population is attack someone's hierarchy of needs, which this is obvious. Like if you attack the hierarchy of needs, it is a good way to control a population. And that should be it. That should be it right there. But he's gonna be like, what do you mean? Because first off, me and Joe are stupid. We don't remember what the hierarchy of needs is. And so because of the fact that we have to go look it up, we're gonna give it more credit than we should give to it, even though it's very simple. So it starts as a pyramid, which is a pyramid. And a pyramid is something that we now associate with not good things. So that right there, I already have a psychological advantage. So it starts at the bottom level of the pyramid, which is physiological needs. We understand that we have to survive. Safety and security. We understand that we need these things to continue surviving. Love and belonging. We understand that we want these things so we can keep going mentally and feel completed. Self-esteem, which is going to allow us to not stagnate where we are, but continue to seek achievement and promotion and things like that. And then self-actualization, which would be, I guess, us feeling like everything was worth it and it worked out. And, you know, we feel complete, a sense of completion. This is all like pretty obvious as what people would normally want or go for. But I say to Joe, like, this is how they're going to attack us as his friend. This is how they're going to attack us. They're going to try and get us on one of these levels, no matter how high you climb. If you take a look at it, we got the hood, that's constant survival. Then safety and security, which would be lower, upper, lower, and then lower middle. We have love and belonging and self-esteem, which we're constantly being force-fed stupid shit to buy and purchase endlessly and endlessly. And then if you somehow manage to get to the top, whether it's a black dude or a Latino or a Chinese guy or that really cool white guy that was kind of like Mac Miller, he was just fun to be around. That self-actualization of getting you to that party and making you touch a little girl or like some shit like that, or just get you to do something foul and now they have dirt on your name and you can't ever do anything again and you're never going to build your people up. This is just, all I did was tell you facts of shit that a human being needs and what happens in the world. But we've gotten to a place online, and maybe in real life, hopefully not, where we'll take this and we'll make it bigger than it actually is. I didn't do shit. This isn't my idea. I didn't tell you anything new. It's not a conspiracy. It's just I gave you a bunch of facts and I worded it in a way that made you think that there was something more to it than there was. And I think that was one of the biggest psyops, was to get people into that type of mind state. But at the end of the day, if I tell you all this, what are you getting from it really? I mean, I just told you a bunch of facts. You would be better off not having that information, but we don't live in a world where that's a possibility anymore. If someone wants to give you information, they can get it to you.
They come to Rapture thinking they're going to be captains of industry. But they all forget that somebody's got to scrub the toilets. What an angle they gave me. I hand these mugs a cot and a bowl of soup, and they give me their lives. Who needs an army when I got Fontaine's home for the poor?
So then it goes back to applied knowledge. We can have this one little thing can start a million discussions online, But what are you getting out of the interaction that we had? How are you going to apply that knowledge? So you can either think of it as the pyramid scheme that I presented to you, or you could be like, I didn't know about these hierarchy of needs, but that does make a lot of sense. And so maybe when I'm struggling, I'll be able to use these types of things. Like maybe I'm missing out on one of these things and I got to work in one of these sections, because it does make sense. You don't necessarily have to follow it as strictly as it's laid out. It's still kind of, for the most part, the bottom two, you kind of need those. But then after that, you can kind of pick and, you don't have to go that way. But you just want to learn to apply knowledge better. And this whole fucking trend of telling you straight facts and then making them out to be more than facts, because scientists have been a little, do we trust the science? Because you just have a scientist lie. That's where the hard part comes in. I feel like we're looking for a constant at a time where you ain't gonna get no constant, baby. You gotta approach every single thing like it's a new round in the boxing ring. You're not gonna be able to fight the guy the same. You're gonna be in a different mind state. You're gonna be a little injured, maybe, or maybe you're feeling extra good and you're gonna get a little cocky. Like you gotta, there's not gonna be a constant. We're not gonna unlock a formula to this shit. Or you aren't. I'm kind of getting one going. Was that my only Oh yeah. And then I had another one. I'll throw this at the end because I'm getting a little tired of talking about this shit. But that was just like, that's Maslow. That was from Maslow. Not the cartoon, but the man. And if I wanted to do something else, I could just take Wizard of Oz. And then I could say, I can just spin a narrative and a conspiracy theory for you, which is sometimes what we do, mostly what governments do, and then pass it off as something we did. Where I could say that the government is like the Wizard of Oz, which I personally believe. Where they talk a big game, but really if you look behind the curtain, it's just a little man on a big screen. I personally believe that. And because it does have some truth to it, it gives it more credibility. And then I can tell you that how the government fights against us, and what they want us to do is they want to scarecrow us by having us seek intelligence. But they want to control that information, so we're always chasing after straw men and straw theories. They want to tin man us by always feeding us trauma and going after our emotional state until we don't feel things that we should, or we overfeel for situations that aren't necessarily real. And they want to force feed us courage and cowardice by constantly having us fight one another or get into competitive or aggressive situations where we have to depend on one or the other too much or too little. And it's these tactics that they're going after. They're trying to control our intelligence. They're trying to control our emotional feeling. And they're trying to control our courage to fight for causes we believe in and things we believe in. Now that sounds pretty compelling, doesn't it? Because I used to write a lot of music, or I still write music. So I write a little bit. But once again, It's compelling, but I didn't sell you anything that wasn't already happening. All I did was take facts, granted broad ones, that aren't just like, there's no one single example, but there are many examples of these things happening, a factual statement. And I painted it so it seemed as if it was more than a collection. I paper mache tanked you, man. I ghost armied you. And so now I got your ass running this way. Instead of you being right where you need to be, where it is together, fighting off us. Now I know that's a terrible example because it's the Allies versus the Axis, and I just said we were the Nazis, or you were the Nazis, but I didn't mean it like that. It's a brilliant strategic move in World War II, and it always comes back to simple ass motherfucking shit, bro. You gotta be like, am I just getting facts? Are they telling me facts, or are they just telling me some bullshit? Now that I'm at a point where I'm understanding it a little more, and I'm also pretty detached from it, not that I don't feel bad about things happening or would not feel the desire to help at any point, but I'm just also kind of doing my own thing, and like I always say, I'm also very selfish, and I kind of like to just be selfish and do whatever the fuck I want. Take much less damage from electricity and use electrical attacks. I'm gonna save. But it's shit like that. I don't think people do this enough in the online atmosphere, or maybe just in life in general. But a lot of it is just like straight cap or straight fact, and then we just keep, blowing up the balloon man, making it seem like it's some fearsome. It's not. It's the same old shit. If you have controlling shares of a company, you own that company. That has not changed. You run a bank and someone owes you money, you better get that money. I think that's all I want to talk about.
Now go find Su-chan's lab and
But I'm sure. But I guess the main thing is, if, because I like seeing people talk about what they're interested in, but it's not like me, like, ooh, that's dope. It also seems like people are like really invested into it, and they're not just, assholes like me. So if you are really invested into it, you need to take it seriously. Not just emotionally, but like mentally and intellectually, you need to treat it seriously. Oh, I'm dead. If it's something you want to do. It's not what I want to do. To me, it's just muse and curiosity. And, boredom and intellectual pursuit. But you should wise up. If you notice, chess became popular recently, and all the guys who were streaming other video games and then they got into chess, when it became popular or they got into it, their personalities changed. You're gonna have to change your personality a little bit to be a little bit more like that if you're gonna do all this type of shit and you want to make any progress. But mostly they just use the same old fucking tactics, bro. It just changes a little bit. Also, that girl scientist who said she was being attacked by energy weapons. I definitely think energy weapons exist. And like MK Ultra and stuff like that. But I don't think it's nearly what you think it is. Because it's both of those things are so very volatile that I think a telltale sign that there was something up with that girl is if you're going to use an energy weapon against the public First off, there's a couple things that a government can do that's immediately going to make things really hard for them. And I'm sure you can use an energy weapon without it leaving a mark. And first off, those marks on our hands, if it's an energy weapon, that means it has to function off of waves. And you can't target just someone's fucking keyboard hands. Is the energy weapon in her keyboard? And why did she have a straight line? You know what the redness on her hands was? It was from her sticking her hands in hot water. That's what happens when you put your hands in like scalding hot water. How the fuck are you gonna have hands that have been attacked by an energy weapon that is definitely a waveform, and you might be able to concentrate that waveform, but how are you going to it just didn't make sense to me, bro. It did not make sense to me. Maybe it was still on some shady shit, but if you're gonna use that type of shit against the public, I highly doubt they would want to leave a mark and have any sort of proof whatsoever. You notice how, like, when people do get got and they get taken, like, they take their phones and shit? Like, if you're gonna use an energy weapon, I don't think you're gonna have it strong enough or at a high enough point to leave a mark. I think you're gonna be like, alright, this isn't. People overestimate themselves and their ability to deal with pain. If it's dealing that much, and then once again, you don't know what you don't know. If it is leaving a mark like scalding hot water, that is an intense amount of radiation burn. Like, that would be unbearable for a regular person. You would immediately start becoming like very fucked up as far as your mental state. That's just not something that's gonna, it's not like a small hazing, it's burning you. That would have to be burning, and it would have to be at an extremely concentrated, fucking fast, frequent, like much, like just pounding. Or it would have to be something super radioactive and burning. I don't know shit about that, but I know that was fucking cap right there, whatever she was doing. And if she's willing to cap like that, then I can't really give it too much credit. I'm sure there's something going on, sure, I don't give a fuck, but I mean, that put her into question for me. Maybe she just wanted to prove her point, which is fair. She did it so to let people know as a cry for help. That's a possibility. I'm down for that. But I don't know. I wouldn't know what to make of all that scientist shit. That's not my business. And also, I'm not going to get anything out of it. I could think all day on it. I'm not going to get anything out of that, really. At the end of the day, I'm not a scientist, and I think my prediction on underwater bases was already the most that I could pull from that as far as what I think is really going on. And I do also, I'm starting to end it. No, don't attack me. I don't want any, God damn it. I don't have any beef with y'all. This is gonna start ending the government shit. I definitely believe in aliens. I'm gonna say it again. I don't think aliens are fucking with us. But I'm also gonna say, and I'm gonna make another prediction, and this is mainly for my overlord listeners who would listen to what I'm saying or whatever. But I think that any contact that we've had with aliens, or told people we've had with aliens, whether it's reptilians, whether it's alien grays, whether it's UAPs crashing during 1947, whether it is time traveling motherfucking humans or whatever, I think it's all a lie. I think the biggest conspiracy is that everything about aliens is a lie. And the reason I am comfortable with saying that is because I feel like I have a solid enough understanding of how the human brain develops. Now I don't know shit about anything that I'm talking about. This is all just from observation and then trial and error of my own little things that I do. But I think it's all a lie. I think what the alien thing does is it decreases the chances of a population rising up against its government. And I also think that it increases the chances of a population, a world population, being innovative and creative and not losing hope. I think it is overall a positive thing, and it's not one it's not all gloom and doom. I think it is a positive thing that also can be used as a means of control and is being used as a means of control. But I think the positives outweigh the negatives in this one thing. But I think everything they're saying about aliens is an absolute fucking lie. And I think it's because of those reasons. And without having any understanding of engineering, it just seems like a logical next step in human thought process. I wouldn't say we're necessarily evolving, but our thoughts are evolving, so that means that there is something happening there. I think it just might be happening a little too slowly in comparison with our technology, and we should be more mindful of that in the future, but we're not going to, because people want to make money, and just because maybe a couple high up officials in the government might feel the same way as me, or some scientists, at the end of the day you're going to have somebody like John D. Rockefeller who does not give a single fuck about slowing down. He just wants to make more money, and he wants to see if he can summon some demons. Because you definitely know, looking at that motherfucker, that he definitely tried to summon some fucking demons. And just listening to him talk. I don't know about Rothschild. Even in his old age, he seemed like he was still well put together. Maybe he went to a party or two. But you know Rockefeller was getting down on every goddamn thing that he could. Like, if he's hanging out with like world leaders who are like killing women in the streets and shit, you know he was trying to summon every demon he could just to see if he could get more powerful. That's the type of guy that guy for sure was. I'm fine with going on a limb and saying that was him right there. Ow. Just from his interviews alone, it's like, yeah, this is for sure this man's. But the reason I'm comfortable with saying that everything about the Great Deception is that we don't know shit about aliens. We don't even know if there is life out there. And then everything we've been telling about aliens doesn't exist is because if I look at the mythologies of all the civilizations on the planet, then aliens fit perfectly right into the evolution of our own thought process. So you start in Egypt, and I don't give a fuck what a scientist tells me. I'm going off of the thought process that I paid attention to. You start in Egypt and you start in South America because the land masses were closer together, and there might even have been a couple islands. You take a look at the gods and the structures. You have similar looking structures. Of course, you can't have grand pyramids in a goddamn jungle. And the gods were mainly animalistic gods. They were creature-like gods. And then as we go through the world and we start to migrate, you see our thought process start to change as civilizations grow and civilizations build, and we become a reflection of one another. And so the gods change with them. And as we continue moving forward from animal gods into more combination of human beings but with multiple limbs, and then, you know, still spirit gods in Japan and Korea and India and even China with things like that, and then we start making our way up into Europe, then it all starts to change, and they start to become much more human as we become more human-centric. In a way, we have like a population self-esteem level and growth level. Well, growth level for sure, but like self-esteem level. Like we start to feel ourselves once we start getting a couple things up. We're like, all right, yeah, no, we ain't that bad. I don't know who you are over there, but I kind of fuck with myself over here. And then that continues, and then the ideas, the gods stop changing, and it starts becoming more human-centric. The shape of the gods has stopped at this point. It starts to become about the story, and it starts to become about the people in the story, not other gods like it was in Greek mythology, but instead now the focal point of this are the people, and now the people are the focal point of these godly like stories. And then the god isn't even really there. The god can shape, the god is an all-encompassing Greek god that doesn't change into a fox. It can change into anything, but normally it changes into a man, and when it's not changing, it's just a giant fucking eyeball or something. And the god above all gods, he doesn't have a form. He is everything all at once. This is the evolution of our thought process through our religions. And so I can kind of gauge our thinking based on the gods that we have. Eventually we outgrew our gods. I don't care what you say to me, but we did. We still hold them dear. It's like, I mean, we outgrew nature when we started inventing gods and civilization. It's not like nature's gone, gods aren't gone, but it's humans' turn. And now, so fast forward, and why I think the government is all cap is because I think the gods turned into us, and we are men. We are the ones in charge now. And then we invented aliens in order to kind of like, I don't know how to properly describe it. Of course it's used for influence. And of course it's used to control sometimes and to inspire, but I don't think it's necessarily that at its root. I feel like it's more of like a weird, like parental desire for that to continue, for that pattern to continue. I think it goes way deeper than any like shallow shit, even though we use it for shallow shit because we're human beings, but I think it's something that isn't shallow in essence. I think it's like a need that we have, like a very, very like, I don't know, I feel like it's really deep if we were to get into it. But I think aliens were that step for us, that weird will of life to continue and to not let things just stay where they are. And so I say all of that to say that I feel like that's where we are mentally. And I know I didn't describe why that has anything to do with the government lying, but it fits directly into the pattern of how our brains work and how our gods looked. As we started getting smarter, our gods started to become more complicated. And so now that we have conquered the world as human beings, and we are essentially the gods, and we do not know what is out there, then when it's up to us to invent something, obviously we're going to invent it at a level that our mind works at. And so what's the first... Oh, I'm just gonna run, dude. I'm just gonna fucking run. What is the first aircraft that we're introduced to as an alien aircraft? It's the famous flying saucer, right? Well, the way the inspiration works is there's no God that exists that isn't directly inspired by something in the surroundings of Earth. I mean, to be fair, a God most likely wouldn't look like anything that we could possibly imagine, because that's not how... Can you imagine... Alright, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna get to this part later, but I need to get off because my video is about to end. Can you imagine? This is why I think the government is capped. It's because all of our gods, I can find direct references around those people or things that I can see the inspiration for the god. Now, a god most likely isn't something that we can easily imagine, and it definitely shouldn't be as easy for me to tell where the inspiration was pulled from. Could you imagine, like, inventing a peacock? If you hadn't seen most of the animals on the planet, could you imagine inventing any of these animals on the planet? If you only knew human beings and we had like some flowers and shit and trees, could you imagine inventing any of these animals that we have? Maybe like the big ones that are always sold to us, like a cat or a dog. That's kind of like up there. But can you imagine inventing a platypus, dude? Who the fuck invented a platypus? That's the dumbest looking shit I've ever seen, and it's super cute, and I like it a lot. But I could not imagine inventing a platypus or a fucking peacock or ostrich or a tardigrade at a cellular level and working up, even appearance-wise. It would be difficult for me, and I'm a pretty imaginative guy. But all of our gods always trace back to something that was like either close or in the vicinity of the area. And so the reason I think the government is all cap on these UFOs is because the very first UFO that was introduced to us is the flying saucer. And the way that they explain how it works is it has an electromagnetic field around it, and that's how it can turn on a dime, and it can fly seemingly defying gravity. Now, we're in a period where we have people introducing information to us like I do, where it's not very eloquent, and then even the scientists online are speaking like, you know, normal people, and it's still not very eloquent. So every now and then when discussing aliens and UAPs and shit, you'll get somebody who speaks so fluently, and they have so many examples to pull from and so much information that is absolutely correct on how the universe works and runs. And then if you were to research it, everything would check out. That is how thrusters work. That's how electromagnetism works. That's how radiation works. This is how propulsion works. This is the formula for all of these different mathematical equations, and they all check out. I think that is one of the great that is the great deception, is this contrast between these two things. And it's this that I feel like is their undoing, because you're telling me how it works and your thought process behind it, and then I'm looking at the very first thing you introduced to me and your explanation of how it works, and how this thing looks like an exact replica of a happy medium of a squished earth. You have a ball at the top and you have a ball at the bottom representing poles, with what looks like to be a flat cylindrical earth that you squish down from an orb to make it thin and aerodynamic like a frisbee. And you are telling me that an alien species who has humanoid features, because you're going to tell me that it's us from the future, I'm sure, because you're dumb, flew across the fucking galaxy in a ship that happened to be an exact model of a slightly thinner Earth? So you're saying that an advanced alien species has a ship that is Earth on Ozempic? I don't fucking think so. And then you're going to give me a cigar-shaped spaceship that has no aerodynamic properties, and a fucking engineer would look at and puke out of every orifice that he could in his body, because that shit is not going to fly through space. And that's a second spaceship? And that every alien is humanoid in feature, and that just like it's all connecting full circle, now you understand me, as in the Avatar world is so well built because it's believable. You have given me the most believable alien scenario ever, and it isn't a predator, but it is actually something that fits the profile of an amphibian as an alien gray, a mammal as the tall fucking elf white people, and a reptile as the reptilians. You're telling me that aliens share the exact same features as everything on the planet Earth, and they have a squished Earth spaceship, and they fucking just throw cigar ships through the sky going light years away? And you're telling me that they got parasites that are exactly like parasites that we have on our planet? Are you fucking kidding me, bro? I'll be the first person to tell you that the government has been capping about aliens. They don't know what the fuck exists out there in the universe, dude. They're dumb as hell still. They don't know anything about aliens. They're just gonna keep telling you because of the positives and negatives that I listed. But I will be that whistleblower to tell you, my good friends, they don't know shit about a goddamn thing. They keep selling me fucking school project models with the finest of eloquence behind it, but going based off of all of our religions, you match the MO perfectly as a motherfucking grifter state, baby girl. And I think that's what you are, and that's where you are. Now, I say that with the utmost respect for doing the best we can. And at the end of the day, I don't care. I hope aliens exist. That would be more fun if aliens actually do exist. But to assume, hey, human beings have been getting more and more selfish as time progresses as far as taking influence from things. We always have to relate it back to us, and I think the very fact that we always have to relate it back to us, we are slightly closed-minded when it comes to these things, and I think overall our innovation and our technological prowess is going to slow down to a point until we get over this. But I do think that's the undoing, and I think that would be the thing that proves it for me, that they have been lying the whole entire time, and they don't know shit about aliens. It's still up in the air. Either it's the scariest possibility and the loneliest possibility, we are alone in fact in the universe, or we just don't know what's out there. It's just too much. It's too much, and no matter how many telescopes we build, even when we start flying around, it is a whole lot of space, and it is very dark. And there's just no way to know for sure. I think that is exactly what it is. But I do have to get off because I feel like my fucking shit's gonna stop pretty soon. So I'm gonna end the video here with that gigantic revelation, and then hopefully my audio didn't cut out. But yeah, the aliens are all cap, bro. You heard it here first. The worst Bodhisattva. That alien shit, bro, they've been capping the whole entire goddamn time. And I'm pulling your cards, homie. I'm calling your bluff, bro. I put it all in. Let me see what you got. You for sure as hell don't got a royal flush. But anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Until next time, you dig. Stay frosty. Bye.
ここだ